Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and some more Hail Caesar faction reviews as we're moving along here and taking a look at the Feudal German list, which has quite a few things going on. This one covers roughly 11th through 13th centuries and a lot of, again, backstory to that and the way the list is organized, and a lot of great historical references for you here as well. Let's jump in because there's a lot to cover. So it is a list where it is forcing you to at least have some cavalry and some infantry, but again with the option where you could kind of go exactly balanced, 50-50, or as much as 75-25 one way or the other. Now it does have a sub requirement for each of those types. When we get to the cavalry, 50% or more have to be knights, and interestingly for infantry, 25% or more of the infantry has to be missile units. So as it says here, up to 1 in 4 units of non-skirmish infantry can be armed with bows or crossbows. So up to 25, I should say. Sorry, we were, I think, saying that backwards. So up to 25% can be missiles. So we won't necessarily get to spam that overly much on the infantry side. But let's take a look at what else is going on. One thing to note too, a lot of the recent lists I think had skirmishers up to half per division. Here it's down to 25. So we'll start out with the feudal heavy infantry here. So just your basic standard heavy infantry unit across the board, 26 points. We can pay extra on half of them to give them double-handed swords, which is pretty cool. And actually, just for 1 extra point, now it does change the short-range fighting, or short-range missiles of them, but it does actually, for heavy infantry, bump the clash up to 8, which is pretty nasty. And then we could also go another route, though, and give them long spears, and that would be for 3 points a unit there. So different options, but really cool that you don't really have that many other restrictions on them. Now, no special rules, but they're a very good heavy infantry choice, and you can't go wrong with that. We do get some solid medium infantry as well, with an upgrade option to go long spears again for another 3 points. So a bit of a step down, of course, from heavy, which again just depends on what kind of flavor of infantry you want to pack there. But having access to tons of heavy infantry is honestly cool. Almost like Roman, some of the Roman like legion lists, kind of reminiscent of that. Then we have feudal medium infantry militia, so kind of going on the cheap end here. Obviously they have the militia rule, but very, very cheap again. And then interestingly enough, we could also upgrade the militia to long spears, bringing them back up to 21 points a unit. Then we have more flavors of some of the above, basically in mercenary format. So mercenary heavy infantry by default here is actually costing us 3 more points per unit than the above heavy infantry, but that's also because they come with drilled built in, so that's actually well worth it. We can then also pay extra at 1 point per unit to make heavy infantry mercenaries Brabantzonen, which would then add tough fighters to it, and seemingly no other restriction there when we look at the requirements above, because it doesn't really specify anything about how many mercenaries we can have. So so in some sense, if you've got the points, you might just, you know, unless you're strictly sticking to like maybe like a good like mix of different things historically, if you want to just kind of like go all in on mercenary heavy infantry and have for 30 points a pop drilled and tough fighters, that's going to be real nasty. Now we could also, if we have the points to spare, spend another 3 points per unit and then just give them all long spears as well. So that's probably some of the scariest long spear type infantry we've seen in quite some time. Then as we work our way down, it's basically just kind of a repeat from our earlier here. So medium infantry, they're drilled as well. Again, slightly cheaper. Also, again, the option to give them long spears. So just, again, great stuff all the way down. And then here we finally get into some long-range firepower, though. The medium infantry with crossbows, again, we can only have so much, but still worth taking. So we have a regular version for 24 points, gives us the 3 at long range, they're still considered medium infantry as far as the morale save goes, but a step down on fighting values. And then we could pay the 3 points to make them drilled crossbowmen, though, which usually, when we tend to see the missile units, it's usually things like Parthian shot for like the light cavalry type units and so on and so forth, but not so often drilled on the crossbows and bow units and stuff like that. So that's actually kind of cool to see. So that is the first part of the list, but wait, there's more. So then we get into our light infantry crossbowmen. So if we want to save a little bit on points because we're spending all that points on the other goodies above, that's something to do. So very, very weak on clash, but these guys are small units too, so that helps explain it, and also the price, right? So still gives us a 2 at long range, but again, really cheap, so we could also squeeze some of this in. And if we wanted to drop them down to crossbow militia, interesting, I don't think we've seen that yet, it actually brings it to 13 points a pop. So, you know, some options there. Interesting that we don't get mercenary light infantry crossbowmen. That would have been maybe a cool option to see, but hey, we've already got plenty of that from earlier. We do get some light infantry bowmen, though, just as a regular unit, so 20 points a pop, no frills there. Again, interesting to not see like a mercenary option, but the crossbow part makes more sense there for those guys. But anyway, another 3 on long range for 20 points a pop, and a normal size unit too. Then also the option to bring that into a small unit format for 14 points, and then again a downgrade to militia for essentially 12 points a unit. So if you need to squeeze in a couple more bow units and just kind of like little harassing, annoying units to maybe distract the enemy with, 12 points a pop is really not that much. Now, then we get another kind of goofy unit here, skirmishing Haraban with mixed arms, fielded as small units. It's basically a 3 on clash, 2 on sustained, very cannon fodder, let's just call it, right? And they're also levy. 9 points a unit, that's one of the cheapest things we've really ever seen. So again, more distraction, more just speed bumps, things like that. So we have all that now, and that's, again, a ton of infantry. But wait, we talked about cavalry a lot earlier on. Well, they finally bring that here at the end. There's not many choices, but what we do get is still pretty powerful. So we have German knights, sergeants, heavy cavalry with lances, just a bog standard heavy unit there of cavalry, but hey, heavy cavalry does what it does, 9 on clash, and that awesome 4 morale save. Now we could, as if we wanted to spend time on the army description for the video, but basically there is the option to make them cataphract cavalry, just super heavy there, but that adds stubborn for 4 points. Again, very expensive, but it's gonna just do a lot of damage. And then also heavy cavalry with crossbows. Now here's a cool option, right? Haven't seen much of this. Heavy cavalry is crossbows, fielded as a small unit, and only just 1. And again, my train of thought always is, if we get these weird oddball one-ofs, might as well take them. It's really cool stuff for the army, and a cool thing to paint up and convert and all that stuff if there isn't necessarily a kit that does the job for you. But what we get, excuse me, with that, it's an interesting spot. It's heavy cavalry, right? So it's not going to fight like heavy cavalry. It's a 6-3, so more like a light cavalry in disguise. But it still gives us a 2 on long range, because again, we're a small unit, but we did say heavy cavalry, and we do get the 4-up morale save on what is essentially a mobile, shooting unit here in cavalry, but more just almost like a little bit of a harasser, right? It's not like one of your mainline missile troops. So interesting that they can kind of hang around and move up and around with your other cavalry and maybe get some good shots in as the game goes there. But 22 points for that, and just an interesting, unique unit. And then we back it all up with just the solid and standard leadership 8 across the board. So really cool here as a list and an idea, especially with German history, especially around this time. Holy Roman Empire, essentially, there was no one Germany. So just all these different if you ever look at a map from the period, you might wonder what the hell's going on, just with all the different principalities, etc., and all the just different areas that comprise the Holy Roman Empire, and some of the other allied things like allied troops, like some of the Northern Italy troops that were loyal to the empire, things like that. There's essentially infinite options for you as a hobbyist and modeler and painter and all that to really dive deep in and what you want to make your army look like. So in that sense, this is one of the coolest ones of this time period. Let us know, guys, if you've actually played a feudal army, and what contemporaries you've taken that out against and how that's fared for you. How did you focus your list? Did you kind of blend everything together? Did you focus more on the cavalry or the infantry? Just let us know, guys. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. We'll have more Hail Caesar for you soon as we eagerly anticipate and await epic Hail Caesar here in some point here later in July, and for the rest of the year as we then start working on it. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.